Alright guys, so we're going to get started on our Hangman project, and we're going to be working in mostly the HTML in this video, but we're going to do a little CSS because we need some styling for our SVG element. So SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, and it's an XML based markup language for describing two-dimensional vector graphics. So SVG, you can kind of think of it as to graphics what HTML is to text. And there's something called an SVG tag, and then there's all types of tags we can use basically on the SVG canvas, like lines and circles and so on. And we're going to use it to create our little hangman guy with the rod, but you can do some really cool and advanced stuff with SVG. You can also use it for icons and just all types of stuff. But I mean, this isn't going to be an in-depth project in terms of SVG. We're just using it to draw our hangman guy. So let's start off with the basic markup here. So let's say hangman for the title, and we want to just link in our style sheet. Okay, and then let's go into the body here, and we'll put an H1 hangman, and then we'll just have a paragraph, and let's say find the hidden word, enter a letter, and then we're going to have a div with the class of game container that's going to go around everything. And in here is where we're going to put our SVG element, and I'm going to give it a class of figure container because we can style it just like any other HTML element. So this SVG element is kind of like a canvas, so we're going to give this a height. Let's do a height of 250, and let's do a width of 200. Okay, and then in here we can put elements like lines and circles and so on. So basically the rod, or the thing that holds up the little guy, we're going to just use 4 different lines to do that. So let's go ahead and create a line element. And this takes in four possible values. We have x1, and what this is it's the start of the line on the x-axis, so on the horizontal axis, which we're going to start it at 60. Okay, the next one is y1, which is the start at the y-axis, which is the vertical axis, so we're going to say 20. And then x2 is where the line on the x-axis ends, and we're drawing a horizontal line, so we're going to go from 60 to 140. Okay, we're not going up or down, so y2, which is where the line on the y-axis ends, is just going to be the same as y1 because we're not moving down at all. So let's save that, and if I open this up with live server, you can see we can't see anything yet, so we need to add a little bit of styling. So for the styling, I'm just going to add the background color for the body. So let's say background, we'll do background color and hexadecimal 34495E, which is a bluish kind of grayish color, and we'll make the color white. And then remember that SVG element has a class of figure container. So in here I'm going to set a fill property, and basically the only thing that's going to have a fill color is the circle, is the head, because the lines don't have a fill, they have a stroke. And the fill I'm going to set to transparent because I don't want the head to have any fill color. And then for the stroke we can say we can set a color here, and I'm going to make it white. And if I save that, now we can see our line. Okay, I want it to be a little thicker, so I'm going to use stroke width and set that to 4 pixels. And I'm going to use something called the line cap property and set that to round, which is basically just the end of the line, which now you can see has a little roundness to it. So this is our line that we created. So it starts at 60 on the x-axis and goes to 140 on the x-axis while staying on 20 on the y-axis. So the next thing I want to draw is the line that goes here down, which is like the little thing that the guy hangs off of. All right, so if you want to pause the video and try to figure it out, I'll give you a hint. The X1 Okay, where it starts is going to be at 140 because that's where x2 ends. Okay, this is at 140 and this is where you want to start. And remember, you want to go down, which is on the y-axis. So if you want to pause the video and try to figure that out, go for it. So for this line here, we're going to go ahead and like I said, start x1 at 140. And then y1 is going to stay at 120. And x2 is going to stay at 140 because we're not moving over horizontally anymore. We're going down. So y2 now is going to change. We want to end it at 50. So it's basically going to go from 20 to 50. So I'll save that. And now you can see we have our little pole that the guy's going to hang off of. So the next line is going to be the main pole that holds the thing up. So it's going to be like this. It's going to be pretty long. So let's copy this down. And x1, we want it to start here, which remember is at 60. So we want this to be 60. And then we're not moving on the x-axis at all, so x2 will also be 60. y1 is starting at 20, but we want to go way down, so y2, we're going to make that 230. And save, and now we have our pole. Okay, and then the last line is going to be, well, the last line for the stand here is going to be the base. It's going to go like this across. So let's copy this down, and x1, I'm going to start it at 20. Okay, remember this is 60, so I want it to be over a little. So I'm going to start it at 20, and I want it to go and end at 100 over here. So x2 will be 100. And the y-axis is going to stay at 230, so we want both of these y1 and y2 to be at 230. And there we go. All right, so hopefully this gives you kind of an idea of how to use SVG, at least in a very simple sense. So I'm just going to put a comment here. This is the rod. Now we want to do the little guy. We're going to have a head, a body, arms, and legs. So let's start off with the head. So the head is actually going to be a circle. Okay, and circle takes in CX, CY, and radius R. So basically CX and CY define the X and Y coordinates of the center of the circle. So it's the position of the center of the circle, which I'm going to make CX 140 and CY 70, and then the radius of the circle, let's do 20. And there we go. So that's positioned perfectly. If I were to do like 180 here, you can see it gets moved over. We want it at 140. And just to give you an example, if I did like 100 here, that would move it down, but 70 puts it right where we need it. And then radius is basically the size of the circle, so I think 20 is good. Okay, so that's the head. Next we want the body. So the body is going to be a line. I'll just grab one of these. And let's see. So for X1, for the body, is going to be 140. And Y1 is going to be at 90. So Y-axis starts at 90. X2 is going to be 140 because we're not actually moving over at all, so the X stays in the same place. We are moving down, so we're going to go from 90 on Y1 to 150 on Y2. And there's our body. Okay, so next we have our arms. So arm 1 is going to be, let's see, 140 for X1. Y1 is going to be 120. Start at 120. And then X2 is going to also be 120. And then Y2, 100. Save that, and now we have our arm. Now for the right arm, or I guess his left, we're going to change the X2 value to 160. And we're going to, actually the rest will be the same. Okay, so we just went up and over. And then for the legs, let's do, let's see, X1, 140, starting at the same place. Y1, will be 150, x2 will be 120, and then y2 is going to be 180. And there's our leg. Okay, we'll just copy this down, and then the only thing we need to change here is going to be the x2 value. So we'll change that from 120 to 160 so that it goes the other way. And there we go. Now, the body obviously is going to be, it's not going to display when we enter the game because each part is going to get added as we guess the letters and get them right. So what I'm going to do is on everything except the pole, these four, I'm going to add a class of figure-part. Okay, so we'll just grab that class and let's put that on all of these. Okay, and then what I'll do is in the CSS, let's say figure part, and we can say display none, and that will get rid of it. Okay, and then what we'll do is later on in the JavaScript, we'll have each one get added one by one when needed. All right, so I think in the next video what we'll do is finish up the HTML because we do have some message boxes and stuff that we're going to have. And then we have obviously some styling to do. So we'll finish that up in the next video and then we'll move on to the JavaScript.